Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lydia, an adult fantasy writer, and today I want to talk about the top 5 ways that I combat writer's block, because who likes writer's block? Nobody. Nobody enjoys it. But just a slight disclaimer here, this is an advice video, so the 5 ways I'm going to talk about may or may not work for you. If you have other tips and tricks of combating writer's block, I would love to hear it because I'm always looking for new things to try out when it comes to writing. So what is writer's block? I'm using the Oxford English Dictionary just to give like a base definition for it. And according to them, it is a usually temporary inability of a writer, especially a professional writer, to produce or continue working on a piece of writing. Writer's block could be that you can typically write 500 to 1,000 words at a time, and now you're struggling to get to the 100-word mark. Or you're finding it difficult to motivate yourself to sit and actually begin the physical process of writing. So without any further ado, let's get started. Number 1 is take a break. I know that there is a lot of advice out there saying you should write every single day. And for some people that works really well for them. And other people, that is probably the hardest thing that they could possibly think of doing. And it's not that you are any less of a writer or any more of a writer for writing every day or not writing every day. Everyone has a very different process when it comes to writing. It's very personal in a sense as well. So what might work for someone else won't necessarily work for you, and that's completely okay. And if you can't write every day, that's fine. And just be kind to yourself. If you are like, today's the day I need to write this chapter or hit this word count, and you don't, that's not a failure. That means that today just wasn't that day to do that one thing. And when I say take a break from your story if you need it, I mean don't think about it. Walk away and do something completely different. Go garden, maybe go cook or bake something if you enjoy doing that. If you have a pet, go play with it. Or if you have a kid, go outside, run around with them. Go play with your partner if you want. And don't tell me about that, actually, scratch that. Go do something completely different that has nothing to do with writing. Number 2 is kind of similar to number 1. It's that you need to replenish your creative well. And again, that is taking a step away from your story and doing something else that might rejuvenate your creativity. So this could have a range of things, and I know it varies from person to person. Some people find the inspiration, find the excitement of story by reading books. Yay, go do that. Definitely read if you're a writer. Other people might find that doing some other crafts like sewing or knitting or painting could also help. And for me personally, I love watching TV. I actually just warned my husband that I am going to start rewatching Once Upon a Time because I absolutely love Rumpelstiltskin's character. And while my current antagonist is nowhere close to Rumpelstiltskin, he is not that level of morally gray, creepy, slimy. He's not like that. But there are things that Rumpelstiltskin does in the show that I want to analyze and learn because I'm a very visual person. So I want to see how he does certain things and then be able to pull that into my story. Be like, I like the way he moved in that one scene when he was doing X and Y. Okay, so how did he actually walk? What was his shoulders doing? What was his face doing? Try to write like that into my story. Long story short, go find inspiration elsewhere, and that will help you formulate new ideas, come up with cool, interesting ways of showing aspects of your story to your reader. Number 3 is change up your routine. And this might sound counterintuitive because I feel like a lot of people say create a routine and stick to it when it comes to writing. But I've actually found that when I shake things up, I discover new ways of getting myself into the mindset of writing. So I have discovered by doing this that I can easily write in 2 places in my house. Primary spot is up here in the loft. This is where I do most of the writing, most of my editing. But I have noticed that when I am struggling to get into my story or struggling to produce any scenery and details like that, when I go downstairs and sit at the dining room table with a candle, all of a sudden things will start flowing out of me that won't happen in the loft. I don't know why. I'm sure there's a psychological reason behind it, but that's the case. And I would never have discovered this if I didn't try sitting in different locations around my house. Another thing I've tried is music. Usually I like silence. I I can't have noise around me when I'm reading. So I just kind of assumed that that would be the case with writing. And I discovered that with some music, it pulls different things out of me. So if I have a hypnotic sounding song, like maybe some of Taylor Swift's songs from Folklore, there's this rhythm to it that kind of pulls me into it. And I find that I become more detail oriented when I'm writing and hearing those lyrics pulsing in my mind. There are some heavy metal music songs now on my playlist because I heard it and all of a sudden a scene that I hadn't even thought of yet that was going to be further on in the story, it came up in my mind as I heard the song. Just change up your routine. If you're a morning writer, sometimes try at night. Maybe you need to vary it up. Number 4 is use your writing community. We've all been there before with writer's block. I can't think of a single writer I know that's never encountered writer's block. And if you have never encountered writer's block, let me know what your secret is in the comments, because please help. There are 3 of us who write together. We try to get together once a week. And if one of us is hitting a wall, we'll talk it out. And sometimes it really is as simple as someone telling you to skip this scene. I'm a chronological writer, so that usually doesn't even dawn on me until someone says, hey, you already know what's going to happen in the next chapter, right? And I'll be like, yeah, I do. Well, why don't you write that first? Figure out what that's going to all look like, and then work your way backwards into the other chapter. And that might help you arrange things better because you've gotten the other chapter out of your system. And that's mind-blowing sometimes to hear. So again, use your writing community, talk it out with people. I would also say writing sprints are really helpful. YouTube is full of writing sprints. I always find live sprints when I need them. And if they're not live, if they're just recording, sometimes that's helpful too, because it's really knowing in those 25 to 30 minutes of writing, you're not alone, that there's a group of people out there who are also writing, who are also struggling with their story, who are also getting excited about their story. It's this wonderful communal feeling. And then to have that 5 to 10 minute break in between each sprint to just chat about your story with other people. Again, it's very motivating and inspiring. So the last point I want to make here is use authors who talk about their craft. I find AuthorTube extremely helpful in that regard of watching videos of lectures and other craft advice out there. My go-to tends to be Brandon Sanderson's lectures that he's posted, as well as Alexa Dunn's short craft videos, because both of those people have really taught me a lot about story structure and things to think about as I'm writing. And when I'm re-listening to some of the stuff they're saying, it will give me weird aha moments. Like they might say a word or give an example and I would be like, that's what I was missing. And then I'll run and go to my story. I'll pause the lecture and just hammer it out. And it seems to really help my mind think of my story in a different way. Number 5, Daydream. This comes in 2 parts. One part might be a bit more common than the other one. The first one is daydream about your story. Picture yourself in it as either a character that you've already created or maybe a different character, somebody completely new to the story who is walking into the world maybe for the first time or is part of a scene that you're trying to hash out in your mind, and just play it out. Let's see where it goes as you daydream about it. I have discovered weird details as I do this, be it just a one sentence, ooh, I should write that there is this flower in the scene because I'm in a meadow and I really haven't described what is in this meadow. And daydream, I'm like, oh, there is purple and pink flowers, and they'll look up, okay, well, purple and pink flowers grow in this area on this mountainside at this time of year. And that's a fun rabbit hole to sometimes go down. I do find that really does help unlock weird things sometimes, but it also can get you excited about your story again. The second one is pretending I'm on a talk show. So I imagine I'm talking to Jon Stewart or Trevor Noah because I absolutely adore those 2 men as talk show hosts. And in the daydream, I pretend that my book is published, that the audience knows the book inside and out, that the talk show host knows the book inside and out, and so we can talk about very pointed questions and details about the story. Basically, this is my way of hashing out a concept or something that I'm struggling with. So I might have Trevor Noah ask me about a specific character and why did I do X or Y with this character? And it basically turns into me talking about it, very surface level at first, basically how I have it already set up in my story. And then I start ranting. And then the more I talk about it, the more questions I start asking, I ask, Trevor Noah, Jon Stewart asks, the more things I start to realize about my character. Again, just ranting it out. Whatever works, honestly, when it comes to combating writer's block. So that's it. That's all I have today. Those are my top 5 ways of combating writer's block. Again, please let me know in the comments what's worked for you in the past and if you're going to try any of these. So until next time, guys, bye. Ooh, really need to stop waving my hands around. I'm going to start splashing coffee all over my body. What number am I on?